In this video, we will show you how to replace your vehicle's four-wheel drive vacuum switch on this Dodge Ram 1500. This will be mounted up along the top of your vehicle's transfer case. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. To gain access to the four-wheel drive vacuum switch, we're going to make our way directly up along the top of the transfer case. Now as you make your way up here, you're going to find your four-wheel drive shift linkage, and you're going to find some vacuum lines that lead to the switch, which is located just along the top of that transfer case. Before you start removing the lines from the top of that switch, just go ahead and mark it with something so you know exactly which direction it needs to be during the installation procedure. So we're just going to mark the switch and those vacuum lines. For this, I'm just going to use a crayon, but you can use anything you have that will cause a mark. After making a clear marking, we'll continue on to removing the vacuum lines from the top of the vacuum switch. It's common for it to be stuck in place. You could carefully use a pry bar and gently pull it up and out of place. After that, a quick inspection and set it aside. Get my pry bar here. Sometimes you can do this by hand. Other times you just need to be gentle and work it up and out of position. Once you have it off of there, as I mentioned, a thorough inspection, essentially we're looking to see if it looks like it's dry rotted and cracked or weak in any way. If it is, you definitely want to replace this, because if you don't have vacuum making its way to the switch, you're not going to have four-wheel drive actuation. Now we have the vacuum lines disconnected. Let's continue on with an 1 1/16 socket. We're just going to slide that right on over this switch. If you need to, you could tap it down into place. It's common for this area to be rusted, especially on this year vehicle. Continuing on, we're going to turn this counterclockwise to remove it from the transfer case. We've got it broken free. Should be able to remove it by hand. There it is, friend. Once you have it out of there, the next thing we want to do is clean down the mating surface here. We'll be extremely careful not to brush any debris inside the port leading into the transfer case. After you feel as though you have it wiped down, a quick inspection. We will not use any type of detergent here, which could make its way into the transfer case. Just make sure it's a smooth mating surface. This looks fine. Let's continue on to installation. Okay, let's prepare to install that brand new four-wheel drive switch. We'll get this in position up along the top of the transfer case. You want to make sure you start it in by hand so you're sure you are not cross-threading it into the wrong positioning. This can take several attempts. It's a little difficult to see. Now with that bottomed out by hand, we'll just continue on snugging it with our 1 1/16 socket. We don't want to over tighten it, but you do want to make sure it is properly snugged. Okay, right there is bottomed out. Just give it a little bit extra there. Just go ahead and give that a little wiggle. Make sure it's properly secured. It's definitely not loose in any way. Now it's time for those vacuum lines. Obviously we do have our markings, but there is something else you can pay attention to as far as those vacuum lines themselves right at the connector ports. You're going to find that it's not a perfect square. It actually has these two notches here. And if you were to feel along at the top of that vacuum switch, you're also going to find it has two small tabs. We'll make sure that we have those two small tabs aligned with these small slots that are on this connector and press it down into position. You may find when you try to bring this connector down into place, it'll be helpful if you use some petroleum jelly or silicone paste. Okay friend, we finished our installation. The next thing you want to do is make your way out from under the vehicle and test the functionality. Test your vehicle in two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, ensuring it properly shifts perfectly through each. Aside from that, thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.